You are watching my favorite YouTube channel. I am Chillmonger, and the Wasp Quantumania movie came out. Here's my complete thoughts on it. 7 out of 10 movie. It was an enjoyable one for me, and I thought that there was a lot of time that could have been added to the movie, and I could have gotten more movie. It kind of feels like Love and Thunder, which is another one that's most people I talk to, they weren't too high on Thor Love and Thunder. I'm the guy who's like, yeah, kind of good. Could have been better. I like Ragnarok more. So maybe even the same thing here, where when I watched this movie, I thought there was other things I could have gotten more of. But when I look back and I think about how much we got, I can I can nitpick a couple of things. Like for example, the way that it had begun with Ant-Man giving the monologue and there's a whole bunch of images happening. It's important to be informed and filled in with the last time we've seen our hero. We've had a lot of chatter about him and his podcast, and he's a book writer. We've heard these things in like Ms. Marvel, and I think there was somewhere else where I recall hearing about Ant-Man and his ongoings, and now we got to see him. So it was good to fill us in on this because this is an attached movie franchise where you kind of got to see these shows and movies to, so it is good to inform people who may be just here for this one movie. There are newbies, they're not all experts like us. So that was all plus. But what about if that was Michael Pena's character, Luis? What if that was his role where he was supposed to be doing that fast speak and they were supposed to act out things all dramatic? There's a possibility that it was pulled, maybe for time constraints or whatnot. They pulled the joke, maybe not. Should have been in this movie. Come on now. It's a staple of these Ant-Man films that characters kick butt. So I mean that's one little nitpick that you could use. But the beginning of the movie did set up that Cassie and Scott, they're missing out on time that they could be forging their relationship. They're skipping out on like I can take care of myself. It's fine. Whoa, what happened? We missed out on that, and then she's been in jail before. Hold on, family meeting. We need to understand how she keeps going to jail. Now here's the thing, though. Trailer didn't tell us why. She's a tree hugger. She's an activist. She's protesting. She's fighting the fight, and she's turning cop cars into smaller cop cars. And that's God. That's just like her dad. That's very similar to what he was all about, where he robbed a Vista Corp, took the money from the greedy rich people, and gave it back to who it belonged to. He served some time in jail, but that's the hero that she viewed him as, even at a young age. When she was 6 years old and Yellow Jacket was in her room, she understood things. So good on her. She had to grow up really fast. Her life is not going to be normal, and it's why she's been doing some experiments. Hank Pym must have a good relationship with her. How he's been blipped, but I don't know. But don't ask the questions like that. Maybe this movie takes place after the blip for like, I don't know. How long does it take to write a book? A year? Maybe a year after the blip. Okay, that's probably what it was. In that year, Hank Pym got familiar with Cassie, and all of a sudden, hey, I can send a signal down to the quantum realm. What? Janet wasn't having it. Janet in this movie was not Janet from that first movie. I don't know, understand what Janet was all about. Janet also didn't have that healing power that she gave to Ghost, where she was like, I can calm you down, I can do this for you. She didn't have any properties of enhanced abilities or nothing like that, but she was kick butt. She knew everything she needed to know. She even had a boo in the quantum realm, which I had to nix one of my questions. One of my questions on the stream was whether or not there was any quantum entanglement or whether or not Hank has been faithful. He hasn't been faithful, but Linda and him just didn't work out. She just wasn't you, baby. I like that line. Another good line, another joke of line was like the holes, the guy with the obsession with holes, and then the callback to the end. Good comedy there. And other people hate this stuff, right? I was in favor of when Modoc died. At least I died an Avenger. And Scott was like, "Yep, yeah, you're in, yep." The good comedy here could have been better, but good enough. I'm not giving this a 10 out of 10. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. A lot to enjoy. The visuals were cool. There wasn't enough. Like Avatar had sun. Remember that? The brightness of all of that beautifulness. You're just, oh, in your awe. With this one, there wasn't a traditional sun. It was darker, and that could be my cinema experience. But I think this is fair to say that it just wasn't up to par. Unfortunately, it had to follow a movie that we all got to check out a month ago. Too bad it wasn't living up to the hype or living up to the standards of what James Cameron was able to do. Bigger budget for that too. But it's not like this movie didn't have its VFX artists. Holy, when you're sitting down waiting for the post credits and you're watching those names, it's the VFX group, and then there's this Industrial Lights and Magic, and then there's special thanks to this artist, and I'm like, holy, this really is. I can understand why these movies are so expensive. They got to pay all these people. When really it's a guy who shrinks. All you got to do is pay a dude to make the sound effect of, and then the guy disappears, and then have the actor act like he got uppercutted. Cassie, you just gotta tap and twist and tap. Okay, I like that Cassie didn't automatically have expertise in the power. Remember how long it took Scott to figure things out? She got really large and really big one time, but yeah, she faded out. She couldn't handle it. She needed her orange slices, her lime slices. She needed some citrus, some sort of citrus. What a joke! That's just an online joke that they paid off there without actually breaking the fourth wall, really. But we always memes and stuff of Scott with the orange slice after the Civil War fight. If you're unaware, then you're unaware. But that's always been something of an online culture thing. Let's get to the villain of this movie, Kang the Conqueror, the Exiled One variant. We had He Who Remains. Now we got the Exiled One. There's going to be a King Tut and some others. Okay, great acting. That scene where he's negotiating with Scott, he's in jail. I will kill your daughter. Yada yada. Ooh, you see? Did we pay no VFX artists for that? And isn't that the most important thing or the most like coolest scene that I'm talking about now? That scene, the most inexpensive scene. Just hired some costume designers to do his thing. Yeah, man. Sometimes the budget and the things that they spend their money on don't necessarily equal quality. Sometimes you just gotta get a good actor. Jonathan Majors is playing Kang. Temporary representation. You know how I feel about this. The Kang character is a white character in comics. Just because Majors is playing him now, and he played him in Loki, and he'll play him in the Avengers movie, there's no guarantee that this character will ever be depicted again with dark skin. They could easily switch back because he's not a black character. He's not T'Challa. He's not Storm. You know, characters that I root for. When those come out, hip hip hooray, let's go gung ho. When characters like this happen, I recognize it as, damn, all of this time that they're tolerating on a black character, I use that word correctly. They're tolerating all of these time and resources going to a black character, and it's not one that has lasting, like a domino effect of when we reboot, it'll be Kang again, somebody black again, somebody black again. Plus, it's a villain. It's not really a role model of a hero. It's there's a lot that I'm not feeling about that. But the acting wise, the performance wise was terrific from this guy. Spoilers to the ending of the movie where it looks like he's out. I wish that didn't happen. I wanted this one, the Exiled One. I want him to be the prime Kang that we're going to be fighting. I wanted this movie to have stepping stone, like a building block. Oh, you want to watch Avengers? Make sure you see Ant-Man Quantumania to understand what he's all about. Doesn't look like he died, bro. Now you could tell me that, well, they also shrunk Darren Cross, Yellow Jacket, and he's still alive. Well, they also shrunk the core, the energy source, and it was still available. Somebody is going to make sure that the Exiled One Kang will be back. If you tell me that, someone who told me that on Twitter, then this is good. This is fine. It'll probably be a surprise, but I don't know how you could really set that up. Surprise, Kang is back. We're going to go, yeah, but how do we know this is the Exiled One? How are they going to tell us that? I don't know how they'll surprise. I really think that from this first watch, that was the ending of this character, which is so unfortunate. This character has different unique powers, and I thought I caught a flaw in it when he was like able to point at you, and he would suck up things like a telekinesis. He would get it from you. When he didn't have the arm technology and he was just fighting with Scott, I guess that's the source. It's like a technological thing. He doesn't have powers. His devices have the powers. He's not shooting you blue beams at you. It's his tech that's shooting the blue beams at you. Side note, at the end credit scene, when they were warping in, those squares that went up was just like in Multiverse of Madness when Reed Richards had the same technology. If you guys catch that, right when he came into the scene. So the device, I think he's a technological guy. He is killable. We saw when Loki and Sylvie were trying to slice him, he would duck or he would predict things before they happened. He's going to be tricky to take down. When he talked about the people who defeated him, I was so hoping it would be the Fantastic Four. The X-Men, maybe. Ooh, the X-Men are the guys who banished him to the quantum realm. It seems like it's the guys from the end credits scene. It's all of the Kangs. I hope that's a swerve, and it really is. Well, they know what happened, but the guys who actually banished him, that that was the X-Men. Maybe. Who else was in the movie? Hank, Janet, Wasp didn't have much. Hope Wasp? No, and they didn't even kiss. What was up with that? You think there's some on-screen, behind the scenes, I should say, drama between the actor, maybe something to do with, well, you didn't get the shot, so I can't kiss you type thing. This movie was shot in a more troubled time. Don't forget that. This is 2023 now. When they filmed that thing, everything was everybody was in a different mind state. So maybe that had to do with them getting too close to each other. Mouth to mouth wasn't possible. I don't know. CGI that. Do like a you people with what's her name? Nipsey Lauren London and with Super Bad. Do it that way where they just CGI'd the kiss at the end. Jonah Hill. Well, that let me play the trailer just to remind myself of things that happened. The beginning of the movie in San Francisco had nothing to do with this plot. Very jokey. She was in jail. Here, when we get to the Quantumania, quantum realm apart, and this scene specifically, yeah, things got dark.
It can rewrite existence and shatter timelines.
That DH technology wasn't too tight, was it? With Michelle Pfeiffer's face back in the days when she was here, that wasn't too strong. I think like they could have done a lot better with that. But it did remind me of something here. That scene when Scott split into two and they worked collectively because they actually had a common goal. Yeah, we know what to do. Just like ants, huh? When it came to saving Cassie, that was beautiful. That message, that's a family-friendly message that when everyone pulls together for Cassie, that's what dads are for. That's a great positive message that should be pushed in this kids movie. I'm gonna call it a kids movie, even though there were times where like 3 different times where they said the word shit. Why? Why ruin this, guys? Just because you're PG-13, because of the violence and because of the other things that would make this PG-13. Just because of that, it doesn't mean okay, we can throw in some swear words here. Think of how much heavier it would have hit when Yellow Jacket Modoc was saying, "I'm not a dick." Can you imagine how much we would have laughed if we hadn't heard any swearing the whole time? And then, well, Cassie just said dick, and then he's just saying dick. It's so silly. But I didn't feel like I was watching a kids movie. It wasn't too family friendly with language. Let's get out of the rating system dictating what we consider as appropriate and not appropriate. The rating system is just something separate from how Disney should operate. Just know that none of your films are ever going to be deemed as adult. So just nix the swear words. The swear words aren't making anything better. The middle finger that Quill gave to Thanos that I always bring up in Infinity War right before he went back into Doctor Strange's portal. In that fight, like, did it need to happen? Kids were watching, bro. Kids were watching. They didn't need to see that. There's a lot we are exposing to them they don't need to be exposed to.
And shattered.
I don't care who this guy is. I just lost so much.
I lost so much.
A second chance.
I like that mission where he actually snuck into the quantum realm, but then he also went into the core thing. Because as soon as that happened, I was thinking to myself, no, that's the movie. It's gonna be all about getting into the core and trying to find out how we gonna get this into Kang's hand. They did it in the middle of the movie, going, oh, well, what's there left to do? And it kind of gave us more action and things just increased and enhanced. When the final fight happens and Scott Lang is fighting, and we think it's just him, Janet comes in and to the rescue. Even though they escaped the quantum realm, she was willing to risk it all. And bro, the stakes, she was willing to, at a time, it didn't feel like that quantum tunnel was going to open back up again. And that was all that was. No, the stakes were immediately unstakified, which can you imagine if they were in the quantum realm, they had to figure things out with the ants. Maybe that would have explained why they're not going to be in the next movie. Marvel doesn't much to do that. This movie had a great explanation of why Ant-Man didn't have the assistance of some of the other heroes, like the one with the hammer. But now we could have also used it now to end the movie with them still in the quantum realm. And then when the next time we need them, just say that Cassie figured it out and she sent another signal and now he's back. But you got to write these characters out and write them back in. And there was a good explanation for why that could have happened. The ants that they mentioned in the ant farm earlier in the movie about they were sciency. Well, when they went into the quantum realm, we didn't think anything of it. They actually, I guess, they went through a time loop, and they have the same thing that happened with Kang. They have 1,000 years of learning and knowledge, and there was like infinite amount of ants. Not infinite, but there was just as many. There was so many ants as there were people who were just fighters in the quantum realm, quantum people, and because of that, they were able to take out Kang. They had their own Kangs. There was multiple of them. They came to through the end. It was a rat who did it in Endgame. It was an ants colony that did it here for Quantumania. Do I hear Bird in the sequel? What do I hear? Will there be a sequel even? I'll take another Ant-Man movie. I'm good with another Ant-Man. I'm also good with a Blue Marvel film. If they want to figure that out and get a positive role model, maybe not Blue Marvel. Maybe, I don't know, any other black superhero. Storm. I complain about that a lot recently, the representation stuff, but it's there. Don't be mad at me. It's actually right in front of our faces, and we shouldn't be too appreciative and too like congratulatory on this studio when they do black movies, and it's all like, oh well, yeah, they got a black movie, but the voice actors are black, but the characters are blue and red. Yeah, they got a black movie, but there's no father in this movie. They got a black movie, but they keep going back in time in history to depict. Oh, you got a black movie, but they race swapped the villain. Oh yeah, you got a black movie. It happens too much, and I don't give credit for casting supporting roles of like diversity. That's what whoop-de-doo. You're not an you exclusive person who's just kicking people out who don't belong there. With exceptions, there's going to be reasons why you're going to have all white cast like this. This is a white family. I understand why you would have an all white cast. The villain was Kang. Cool. We can counter that with an all black movie like Black Panther 2. Except they didn't have T'Challa, but we could have countered that. Like they're going to make sense. There's going to be some that are just uniformly of one skin tone. I get it. But I look towards the leads, and this was another white movie coming out of Marvel, Quantumania. It was a big budget. I don't know what the outcome right now is of the opening weekend, but from fans' reception of it, it's not going to be more than Wakanda Forever was with 180 million domestically. To me, that's fine. It doesn't got to be 180. I just wanted to make its money. I want things in Marvel to continue giving big budgets. I don't want them to shorten the length of their movies like I feel is happening here and feel like it's happening in Thor. A couple of things that could have sat out, maybe a little bit more scenes of Cassie and Scott daddy-daughter time, the loss of time. I don't need to see Scott or editing decisions like this. Some scenes were pulled. We'll watch when we actually get the deleted scenes how much was pulled. And we're going to say the same things that we always say. Why wasn't that in the movie? Good movie here. It's not a skip. It feels like the end credit scene, post-credit scene, the first one, will lead into the Avengers movie, Kang Dynasty. The end credit scene, though, was a scene out of the Loki TV series, which means they did not have something planned, or they pulled what they did have planned because things are changing over at Marvel. Captain Marvel 2 was delayed from July. Now it's going to be in November, probably because they're going to change a little something in that movie. Decisions are being made to reshuffle, and that's for the best part. You're not going to convince me that the end credit scene of Ant-Man wasn't changed for that reason. It was changed because, and it was pulled and it was replaced with a Loki scene, which ultimately wasn't that significant. It was changed for a Loki scene because what they did have planned, much like Doctor Doom in the Wakanda Forever end credit scene that didn't actually show, and they went like, yeah, it's a funeral movie, so no end credit scene. Feel sad. That's a reason why. It's because they're reshuffling things. I'm chill. You agree? You disagree? Comment. What do you rate this movie? Just leave a number, and I'll understand what you mean. 6, 7, 8, 9, dare I say? How you feel about this?